down in New Orleans. We're in the historic neighborhood of Treme.
Listen to some Freedom Riders, learn about their history, and talk about our voting rights. Talk about these federal bills that we are demanding that get passed. Not next year, not 10 years from now, right now.
When I say black voters, you say mad or black voters. Black voters.
Everybody is a Freedom Rider. Even if you're not getting on the bus, you still a Freedom Rider because you on this bus on this journey that we are taking towards voting rights and liberation.
17 million more of us voted in 2020 than voted in 2016. Scared the heck out of us.
We as black people, we are not new to this. We are true to this. Not only are we fighting, we are building. We are building a movement. The ability to not just survive, but to thrive. We make this country. We build this country. We make this country move. Amen.
Thank you to the Freedom Riders for their incredible service. Your legacies will live on forever.
Standing outside on Campbellton Road at the library waiting to vote. When I got here, they had no accommodations for the elderly or disabled. They also didn't have any chairs and no explanation. The line wasn't moving, and we've been standing here for hours with no reason as to why the line wasn't moving. In addition to that, we have elderly people standing in the back of the line who are willing to wait hours because of the importance of voting. And because of them, they gave me a deep reasoning to stand in line and wait and make my vote count.
My name is Cedric Anderson. Been out here since about 7 this morning. Left for 30 minutes, came back to my same spot. I've still been here. No plans to go anywhere. I have an issue with some of the statements that were made by the poll workers from us coming in this morning, being told an hour or so after waiting that they didn't have the keys to the machines, they didn't know how to turn the machines on, they didn't know where they were supposed to be. It's just so much chaos as it pertains to this location, if not many locations. I just think we got to get things together because it's a deterrent. I've absolutely watched people leave and say that they're not coming back, and we just don't want things like that. And a lot of this could have been prevented, you know.
My name is Glory Jusom. I'm a resident of Atlanta, Georgia. I stay off Campbellton Road. We're out here voting. I've been out here at this location since about 7. I left because they said that the polls machines weren't working. So I made it back out this way around 8:30, and we've literally, I just finished voting, and it's going on almost 2 o'clock. So the good thing I can say about the incident, you did have people come out and give water and snacks and stuff, but the line has been ridiculously long. None of the poll workers left the building. They said that the machines weren't working. So it's just like, we got to do better.
Black women to be leaders. We want to see parity more than just representation.
We have to define the job description. We have to define the agenda. And then once we define that agenda, then it's real easy to figure out, okay, who's best qualified to meet it, not based off of who's related to who, or who goes to what church, or how much money you have, or what position you have. What's your qualifications to meet this job description? Provide a space where folks can come together, talk about the issues that are going on in Greenville, you know. In a lot of our communities, black folks don't even want to say black. It's like it's a dirty word. You know, what do we do sometimes when we're trying to talk about race? We do what? Right? Y'all know it, right?
today and tomorrow. I still have a dream.
We do voter registration, right? Lots of organizations do voter registration. It's very important, but it's not because of a shortage of folks being registered. What is it that has so many people not coming out? I'm gonna tell you this. It's not because they're lazy, and it's not because they're crazy, right? It's not because they don't know somebody died for them, right? Because that message isn't really working. But there are some real reasons why folks aren't turning out. Sometimes it's because they've lived an experience where nobody's really responding to their issues. They're just trying to round us up, and count us like jelly beans in a jar. Round the Negroes up every time when it's time to vote. Because there's a lot of folks that care about black votes who don't care about black voters.
So we're down in New Orleans. We're in the historic neighborhood of Treme.
Listen to some freedom riders, learn about their history, and talk about our voting rights. Talk about these federal bills that we are demanding that get passed. Not next year, not 10 years from now, right now.
When I say black voters, you say mad or black voters. Black voters.
Everybody is a freedom rider. Even if you're not getting on the bus, you still a freedom rider because you on this bus on this journey that we are taking towards voting rights and liberation.
17 million more of us voted in 2020 than voted in 2016. Scared the heck out of us.
We as black people, we are not new to this. We are true to this. Not only are we fighting, we are building. We are building a movement. The ability to not just survive, but to thrive. We make this country. We build this country. We make this country move. Amen.
Thank you to the Freedom Riders for their incredible service. Your legacies will live on forever.
Day everywhere.
All right, love y'all. Go get something to eat. Listen, we got City's fish chips. We got Pure Soul Vegan, Big C Waffles, and Blacker the Best Lemonade. So you guys go enjoy. It's out on the street. You can make your way out. DJ, let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
We just go 5. Here we go.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's Big Moochie, baby. Big Moments MC. Oh man. Hey, check this out. I got this new line dance hustle, you dig? This going out to all my MCs all across.
Is this America, the land of the free and the home of the brave? Our lives be threatened daily because we want to live as decent human beings in America.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Don't let them turn. Don't let them turn. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom's land.
All types of conniving methods are still being used to prevent the Negroes from becoming registered voters.
Ain't gonna let no racism turn me around, turn me around, turn me around.
y'all, to suppress the vote.
It started when Africans were enslaved and forced to come to this country. There's never been a period of time in this country that there was not voter suppression.
Ain't gonna let injustice turn me around. Turn me around. I'm going to vote justice. Yeah, I'm gonna keep on.
Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop.
Marching up freedom.
We have to define the job description. We have to define the agenda.
Oh, yeah. Ain't nobody. Turn me around. Turn me around.
This is about power. Right? This is about our power. And ultimately, when we show up, we win.
Walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom.
Unfortunately.
Trenches, bastard, hey.
Yeah.
Still pleading for freedom, for them second chances. We begging on sentencing fathers. Ain't overworked mama so young and they learning their lesson. God out here failing, looking for a job, but he ain't got no right, so he can't qualify. So he right back to stress, even though it ain't right, everybody turn back, so he. Matter still screaming, can't breathe. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Say we need a second chance. That last matter still screaming, can't breathe. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Say we need a second chance. Black lives matter still screaming, can't breathe. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands.
Look into my eyes, all you see is pain. We speaking, but now they ain't hearing us. Claiming that they protection, we see blue lights in our mirrors, and they just put fear in us. We gotta be gunned down by the law for the people to really remember us. We fighting our own in the police, so really we don't know who to trust. What about the impoverished and all of our felons out here that just need a clean slate? No EBT to feed their kids or no money to eat off a clean plate. It all started with the word freezing and ended up being a murder case. Keep saying the problem black on black, but really they open the murder rate.
Say we need a second chance. Black lives matter still screaming, can't breathe. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Say we need a second chance. Black lives matter still screaming, can't breathe. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Say we need a second chance. Black lives matter still screaming, can't breathe. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Say we need a second chance. Black lives matter still screaming, can't breathe. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands.
1-11, I was locked up, 15 sitting in that cell. Charging the dope, minimal rights shook, man, I couldn't even spell. A second, a chance of freedom. A clean safe for my people. Citizen code not equal. Enemy domain should be legal. Private properties converted in dead power. Over. Black lives matter in my community. For justice, for tough. Maintenance hard out here for a black person. You gotta get it out of dirt. I can't breathe, Floyd. We live and die. We die, we live and trust.
Say we need a second chance. Black lives matter still screaming, can't breathe. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Say we need a second chance. Black lives matter still screaming, can't breathe. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Say we need a second chance. Black lives matter, still screaming, can't breathe. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Say we need a second chance. Black lives matter, still screaming, can't breathe. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands. Don't shoot cause I got in my hands.
Trenches about to hey.
Don't shoot cause I got in my hand. Yo, we need a second chance. Don't shoot cause I got in my hand. Yo, we need a second chance. Hey, Trenches.
Thank y'all, thank y'all.
All right, this next song right here, man.
We all agree tonight, all of the speakers
Real
have
throwback.
agreed that America
Take it back a little bit. So we gonna do it like
this.
We screaming for peace and justice. Forward justice. We screaming for peace and justice. Forward justice. We screaming for peace and justice. Forward justice. Check it out. America's problem lead to self-destruction. Michael Brown was killed for nothing. White supremacy makes it hard to function. We need to stick together and come up with something. Some type of plan. Remember Sandra Bland? Hanged in a cell due to racial violence. The powers that be try to keep us silent. Democracy is watershed because of Jim Crow 2.0. Segregation unfold. We had no hope, no right to vote. We need to fight suppression. Lyrics and tests is underrated and unconstitutional. Yo, you get caught in a mid. Soldier crush that stereotype. Here's what we did.
Living in poverty was the commodity. So black man that's locked up for some felonies. Put away trying to get paid for some big bucks. People who serve and protect the ones we can't trust. Harassing the beating knees against side neck. Or bullet to the head, now that's disrespect. Trying to reunite and fight for what's right.
Alright, forward justice. We're screaming for peace and justice. Forward justice. We're screaming for peace and justice. Forward justice. We're screaming for peace and justice. Forward justice. Yo, tell them what time it is.
They tryna act like we don't know. What about Jim Crow 2.0? But we still yelling we won't go. If they kill us, then we won't grow. The system targeting poverty. The design is for keeping us poor. It's a setup for the black man to end up a felon. Without a home and a job, he can't take care of his family. It's a war on drugs that don't apply to the pharmacy. And still want me to believe it's a democracy. George Floyd was a death that hit us the hardest. Sasha Bland, and Trayvon Martin. Hands up, don't shoot, I'm screaming Black Lives Matter. A black family ain't whole if it don't got a daddy.
Freedom, that's what we need. Instead they wanna give us shackles and make us bleed. They cannot see it our way, no need to plead. They still wanna beat us down like Apollo Creed. Nowadays you never know when it's your last night. The police they'll gun us down before reading our rights. Killing execution style, that ain't nothing nice. They killing kids now, that's not even thinking twice. When you think about it, it's a shame. Pointing fingers at our folks like we the ones to blame. Blowing targets on our best, I call a duty game. R.I.P. Stephon Clark, they shot him in his brain.
Hold your breath, I can't breathe, me with my heartbeat. A peace speaker, on time and never tardy. No one can stop us. You and what army? Stand up, it's going down, let's make a sound. We the voices, they not around. George Floyd, Sandra Bland, and Michael Brown. Enough of black on black crime, we killing off our crime. Our brother kill another, it ain't giving us time. But the whites kill the blacks and everything just fine. But here's the mission, we the discussion, moving forward. Many more than Floyd, need peace and justice into the system. We're not a factor, listen closely, black lives matter. Enough speaking, you can hear us any louder.
Yo, son, with a beat. Forward justice. We're screaming for peace and justice. Forward justice. We're screaming for peace and justice. Come on. Forward justice. We're screaming for peace and justice. Forward justice. Bring justice. Yeah. Treat the band for coming soon. Look out for Trenches Band to coming soon.
Trenches about to hey.
Yes, sir.
Y'all show some more love to Second Chance. I like that. What y'all know about that record, Self-Destruction, they was rhyming over? Y'all remember that record? They don't remember that record, do they? Do I need to put them up on the real one? Came out in 1988. Real talk. I was in middle school. Word.
We all agree tonight.
You got me wanting to hear it now. Let me vibe.
Not only does America have a very serious problem, but our people have a very serious problem. America's problem is self-destruction. And for self.
So we're down in New Orleans. We're in the historic neighborhood of Treme.
Listen to some Freedom Riders, learn about their history, and talk about our voting rights. Talk about these federal bills that we are demanding that get passed. Not next year, not 10 years from now, right now.
When I say black voters, you say mad or black voters. Black voters.
Everybody is a Freedom Rider. Even if you're not getting on the bus, you still a Freedom Rider because you on this bus on this journey that we are taking towards voting rights and liberation.
17 million more of us voted in 2020 than voted in 2016. Scared the heck out of us.
We as black people, we are not new to this. We are true to this.
That's okay. So Mr. Josh Wells from Unite. Come on, y'all make some noise for him. Y'all make some noise for him.
Appreciate it, brother. How y'all doing? My name's Josh Wells. I am a former worker from the Sheraton in downtown Phoenix, and I am a proud member of Unite Here Local 11. In 2020, I led teams throughout Arizona to knock over 1 million doors and turn the state blue. We then joined the fight in Georgia, where we won the Senate runoff election and gained ourselves a Democratic majority in the Senate. And after that, you know what happened? We won, but they expired. Yep. They came back at us with over 350 attempts at voter suppression throughout this country. In Arizona alone, they have just passed a bill that is set to remove tens and thousands of voters from the permanent early voting list. So you know what we decided to do? We decided to join Black Votes Matter for the Freedom Ride. On this Freedom Ride, I have been through sites that are historical and pivotal to the movement. I have seen the pain and the struggle, sometimes in vivid imagery, of those who came before us. I have seen the pain in many of you. But you know what I've also seen? I've seen resolve. I've seen strength. I've seen a willingness, like those who came before us, to do whatever it takes to get this through. Tomorrow, my baby boy is turning 5 years old, and he's going to be in Phoenix, Arizona when I'm in Washington, D.C. And I am going to be in D.C. because he deserves a voice, he deserves dignity, he deserves respect, and he deserves real human rights. When black folks here in North Carolina were sitting at lunch counters, they did that because they deserved respect, because they deserved dignity, and because they deserved human rights. When me and my fellow workers, whether you're housekeepers, janitors, cooks, dishwashers, room attendants, from locals like Local 23, when we are fighting in our workplace, we are doing it for respect, we're doing it for dignity, and we're doing it because we deserve human rights. This is a human rights movement, and I am proud to be a part of it. I'm proud to be part of a movement-building union, one mentored by folks like Reverend James Lawson, who was a mentor to Martin Luther King, and pivotal in the strategy of nonviolent direct action. And you know what we're going to do with that? We're going to go to Washington, D.C. And in D.C., we're going to tell the politicians that they must pass the For the People Act. That they must do whatever it takes, including reforming and removing the Jim Crow filibuster. And we're going to tell them that they must do it now. Because you know what? Our voting rights have been under attack. And what do we do when our rights are under attack? When our rights are under attack, what do? We fight back. Thanks, y'all.
Come on, y'all make some more noise for him. Fist up. So guys, we got a very special guest up next. Put your hands together for Mr. Trey Murphy from the NAACP. The Legal Defense Fund.
North Carolina, where you at? Where you at? You know, after the 2020 elections, they said the South got something to say. Well, I believe North Carolina got something to say. Y'all got something to say? We got something to say, don't we? So as a wise philosopher, civil rights icon and legend, a personal hero to me, Frederick Douglass once said, power concedes nothing without a demand. Power concedes nothing without a demand. So you know what, y'all? We got a demand today. And the demand today is pass the For the People Act, pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, and pass D.C. statehood and protect black voters by any means necessary. When I say people, y'all say power. People, people, people. All right, y'all, now, as Southern Baptist preachers say before they give a 2-hour-long sermon, I'm only going to be with y'all for a short time today. Just a short time today. So I was asked to come up here and talk a little bit about the 3 pieces of legislation that we're fighting for. And we're going to make sure that we scream it all the way from the streets of North Carolina to the halls of Congress, because we want people in positions of power to know that the South got something to say, North Carolina got something to say, and black voters got something to say. And so I'm going to start with the For the People Act first. So y'all know, y'all probably are aware right now, the 2020 elections drastically shifted the political terrain. I'm going to say that again. The 2020 elections drastically shifted the political terrain. And what it exposed was that when black voters come out, the entire process, the entire political terrain, it shifts. And so what did we see happen as a result of that? We saw voter suppression bills after voter suppression bills that was made possible because of the Shelby case, Supreme Court case, that said that we didn't need to protect black voters. And so we're here today to deliver a message that the For the People Act, what that will do is create a pre-clearance formula to make sure that before states are able to disenfranchise black voters on a level that we are seeing 47 states passing some of the most restrictive voting laws ever in existence, before they are allowed to do that, there will be a formula they will have to get pre-clearance first before they can enact those voter rolls. So we're telling our elected officials, pass the For the People Act. Pass the For the People Act. Then we got the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, making sure that when people are out there voting, exercising their civic duty, that there won't be voter suppression in terms of long waiting lines, that you won't go to jail because you're giving out water to black voters, because you're making sure that the elderly has access to early voting. So what's the demand, y'all? Pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And then we got DC statehood. Come on, y'all, this issue is as old as this country. We got a whole entire section of our country that literally the premise that this country was supposed to be founded on was to get rid of taxation without representation. And yet this country, we're allowing this country to do that to the same voters in DC, who are, of course, people of color. Before this moment, of course, black voters. So what's the demand, y'all? Pass DC statehood. Thank you. Help me out here, y'all. I'm a little tired. It's been a long, long, long ride. But listen, y'all, I couldn't come to North Carolina without saying this. You know, we're standing on sacred ground right now. The very fact that we can be in this space, not that far away from Shaw University, where 61 years ago, young college students came together and they said, y'all, it's not enough for us to just do the freedom rides. It's not enough for us to just do the lunch counter boycotts. We got to come together. We got to form an organization. And that organization, convened by my icon, the person who I would still to this day follow her theology, Ella Baker. She convened young college students at Shaw University, not that far away from here. And she told those young, mostly black students that they had the opportunity to drastically shift the political terrain of their time. And her message to them was simple. You either going to have the power to change your material conditions, or you're going to be oppressed for the rest of your lives. And young people rose to the occasion. They rose to the occasion. And so as we stand here on this sacred ground, we remember that the South got something to say. That black political power does matter. That black voters does matter. That young black people do matter. And we want to send that message loud. We want to send it loud. So turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, the South got something to say. Turn to your other neighbor and say, neighbor, I was made for a moment like this. We know racism is alive and well right now. We know white supremacy is alive and well right now. We know that black voters in this country have to live with the consequences of a system that we did not make, that our ancestors inherited, where we were bought, sold, enslaved, not given any level of political power. And yet we still don't sit around and critique. Yet we still choose to create. And y'all, when black people create stuff, we create joy. We create happiness. We create sound, music, art. Some of the greatest inventions in this country was created by black people. The White House that Joe Biden is sitting in was built by black people. Some of the best inventions in this country was built by black people. And so, as the SNCC elder was saying, I promise I'm wrapping up because I know my time is short, right? My time is short. So I promise I'm wrapping up. As a SNCC elder was saying, it's so fitting that I bring this to North Carolina, where it all began for the students. As a SNCC elder would say, the question on the table for us right now is, do we want to be in protest or do we want to be in power? Do we want to be in protest or do we want to be in power? What 2020 showed us is that we got the power and we ain't scared to flex that power. And so the charge for you all today is to answer this fundamental question. Do you want to be in protest or do you want to be in power? If you want to be in power, you'll call up a friend who's lost faith in the political process, and you'll tell them that their vote still matters because we're building something. At the end of the day, this train don't stop in D.C. It don't stop with the passage or the non-passage of these legislations, but it starts with our ability to congregate right now. If you want to be in power, you will remind black voters that they still matter, even when they got to stand in those long lines, even when they got to wait in the hot North Carolina heat, because, Lord, y'all heat down here is definitely hot. If you want to be in power, you will also be on that bus with us tomorrow morning. You will be on that bus with us as we go to West Virginia, as we go to Virginia, and as we have that final stop in D.C. And you will show us, you will show the world that black voters matter and that we are willing to scream that from every hall, every location. And so I'm going to close us off with just saying, repeat after me, no justice, no justice.
Jam, oh jam, jam, Teddy jam for me, yeah.
Y'all make some noise for my man DJ Bro Red, man, the illest DJ in the state. I grew up with this guy. I should say I raised you.
Up. You ain't that much older than me.
My name is Brian Dawson from K97.5. I jumped off the radio station to come down here to get some of this good energy, so thank y'all so much for coming out. Shout out to the Freedom Riders for picking Raleigh, man. We excited about that. They could have went anywhere, and they came to see us, right? So we're here for this peaceful movement today, but we want to make sure our voice is heard. Consider me the referee. I'm going to keep this thing moving, so we're going to be very respectful of your time, okay? So I want to bring up right now Representative Candy D. Smith, NC House Representatives 8th District. Please come up for a few words. Thank you, Doc.
How's everybody doing? Listen, I am excited that you're here in Raleigh. It is important that we make sure our voices are heard. It is ridiculous what's happening. Even right here in North Carolina, I am on the election committee, and when I have to sit and listen to these ridiculous bills, I don't even know what to do. I'm fighting every day. We're fighting. Legislative Black Caucus is fighting every day to make sure they understand you cannot stop the vote, regardless of what you do. So we need you to continue to be boots on the ground wherever you go, but we also need to make sure that you're talking to someone else, because it's like preaching to the choir. You're here, right? We need to make sure we're talking to everybody else who's not here, bring them to the table, and let them know that this depends on what they do. This is about them. So thank you so much for coming to Raleigh. Look, say it loud. Say it loud. Okay. Y'all about to make me hit it. Say it loud. What? Okay, I'm stopped. Thank you so much. God bless you.
We love that energy, all right? Let's keep it moving, all right? I want to bring to the stage Daniel Iguad, the Haitian sensation. Come on up, my brother. Come on up. Bring some good energy for us.
Black Voters Matter, what's up? Yo, we here, we live and direct. It's an honor to be here, honoring our ancestors and the ones who came before us, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. My name is Daniel Edouard, also known as the Haitian Sensation, former WBA and USBA middleweight champion, a Haitian activist, and also a boxing coach. So why am I here? I'm here to tell you about Haiti. To imagine 60 years ago, we wouldn't be able to stand here like this. We'd be met with oppression, bigotry, and a whole bunch of hate. In January 1st, 1804, Haiti announced its independence, being the second free country in the Western Hemisphere, being the first to abolish slavery. We sent shockwaves across the world, letting people know if you're a slave anywhere, you can come to Haiti and you are free. Sparking revolutions like Nat Turner in Virginia, sparking revolutions like Denmark Vesey, which took place in South Carolina, giving folks the opportunity that we now have, that the Freedom Riders took the advantage of, and being able to have us here. So we're here uniting as one, and that's the beautiful thing of what the Haitian Creed says, l'union fait la force, meaning our unity is our strength. Let's continue to unite. Let's continue to fight the battle, fight for injustice. Just to give you a quick update, in Haiti right now, we're 2 years overdue for parliamentary elections. Can you imagine being overdue 2 years for mayors, senators? We haven't had elections. Democracy is something still new in Haiti. But guess what? If us coming together, Black Voters Matter, we can make that difference. We can strive together to impact not just here in America, but make the shockwaves across the world, just like Haiti did. So I come before you, thanking you all for coming here, thanking you all for being here, because together we can. Together we can make this thing happen. Together we can change the injustices. Just like Frederick Douglass said, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are here standing for the injustices. And guess what? We're making that difference. Every single one of you is making that change. Every single one of you is making that difference. Continue to light that fire. Continue to be that spark. Not just for yourselves, but I got my sons here with me, 7 years old, 13 years old. I'm making the difference for them. Because if I don't, who will? If you don't, who will? But together we can. Black voters matter. Black voters matter. Black voters matter. And we want you all to come together. Let's continue doing this. I'm also here with my boxer. Where you at, Daryl? We got a boxer who's going to be representing the Olympics for Haiti and in Tokyo. So we want to give a shout out to him because, hey, we're continuing the fight. We're fighting the way we know how, through boxing, through sports.
just like Muhammad Ali did. We're using our sports to do the same thing. So thank you all for having us. Continue to fight the fight, and we're here with you all in Haiti, here, wherever it may be, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. We're going to do the Freedom Ride with you all and continue to fight for justice. Thank you all.
Salute, brother.
Check 1, 2. Could we bring that down a little bit up here? Check 1, 2. Hello, everyone. I'm Jay Timber, and I'm going to play Redemption Song by Bob Marley.
All pirates, yes, they rob I. Sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pits. But my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. So won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had is redemption song. Redemption song. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop at the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. So won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had is redemption song. Redemption songs. Exodus, movement of Jah people. I said Exodus, movement of Jah people. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop at the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. So won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had is redemption song. redemption songs, songs of freedom, redemption songs.
Thank you so much. That's my time. Once again, I'm Jay Timber. Y'all know what it is.
We about to set
Let's bring LA and Sonya up here from the NC Black Alliance. Welcome to the stage.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. Good evening, or maybe good afternoon. I'm LA, Lamisha Whittington, or LA as the community named me, the streets name me. I'm with the NC Black Alliance in Advanced Carolina, and joining me is Sonya.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sonya Whittington, and I'm the Executive Director of Democracy Green, and it's wonderful to be here with each and every one of you today.
So what we're going to do, appreciate y'all having us out. It is a wonderful day. It's been raining a lot, y'all, so I'm really happy to be out here in good weather with good people, especially good black people. I love y'all. You know what I'm saying? So what we're going to do is a little bit of a teach-in, right? So we need to know what's happening right now in North Carolina. We are across the street from our General Assembly, which is where a lot of bad bills have been coming through to attack our people, our right to assemble, and to have black joy, right? It's been attacking us since last year. And so Sonya is going to share with you a farm bill here in a minute that is coming through that is attacking our people who are being contaminated and poisoned in their own backyards. But before I turn over to Sonya, here's a couple of bills I want to lay down. First of all, if you've heard it, write it down. Black Voters Matter has a big effort underway to defeat these bills. This is Senate Bill 324, Senate Bill 724, 725. We're going to keep going. If you've heard about critical race theory, add that one in there, 324. So if you're writing down these bills, I'm about to break it down here in a minute. So last year, in the wake of our powerful protests, raise your hand and raise your fist if you was out there last year in the wake of the murders of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. So when we took to the streets, right, when we took over our towns and our cities, especially here in Raleigh, we were thousands and thousands deep, and they tear gassed us. They tear gassed our babies as we peacefully protested and we peacefully marched. So here's the thing. As we were talking about our rights, just last year they tried to pass a death investigation record provision. What does that mean? While we were talking about defund the police, they were giving the police more protection to hide the cause of death through the whole entire investigation if you died in their custody. They passed it at midnight in this building. And because of the black folks and the allies that were up at midnight, we tracked it. We reached out to the governor. People were sleeping out at the governor's mansion in sleeping bags that we provided, food that we did ourselves because we take care of our own and we got a veto. You're not going to hide while we die. You're not going to hide how you kill us. You're not going to hide how you knock us down. And they didn't think we would be assembled together, one another. But they were wrong. So this year, right, they've repeated these efforts by introducing legislation that says our local elected leaders can't touch the police budget. They say, if you cut the police budget, then we won't give you the tax dollars from your voters to help your community if you touch that police budget. That was their response to us talking about defund the police. After that bill, that was 100, Senate Bill 100. Right after that, they introduced Senate Bill 300, which we worked on with state black electeds and brown electeds who we were able to get it at least amended. But in this bill, guess what they were going to do? They were going to now increase our protest, our right to assemble, from a misdemeanor to a felony. They were going to force 16 and 17-year-old babies in adult court, y'all. That is what was introduced in our legislature this year. So our 16 and our 17-year-olds, our children going out to elevate their voice in the middle of a pandemic would now face potential felonies. That means no more Pell Grant, y'all. That means no more college assistance, y'all. That means no more job opportunity and impact, because guess what? They would be a returning citizen. It would also mean they can't vote. This is what our legislature passed to shut us down. After that, guess what? This is all within the same month and a half. This is why we're tired. We can't sleep. After that, they introduced another bill that said that we would have restrictions on how we would be able to get absentee ballots. They started cutting down the time that we could actually request the ballots. If that bill would have been law last year, that means that 11,000 ballots would have been thrown away. Do you know how important 11,000 votes are to a race? One of our state races, a justice lost by just 400 votes. Imagine 11,000. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause for a minute. I'm going to turn it over to Sonya to tell you a little bit more about a farm bill, and she's going to give you some information. I'm going to bring it back, and we're going to wrap this up to say exactly what can you do with us, to stay with us. If you've already been here, we appreciate your fight. We appreciate your valor and your heroism, but this, we have to keep going. And I'll take it back, and we'll wrap it up.
In this nation, black communities are used as dumping grounds by dirty corporations and politicians who allow it. Here in North Carolina, our communities have faced a large industrial hog farm, spraying waste, talking about dung, talking about manure, if you would. Spraying this waste and chemicals on the homes and lands of our people. And our people have fought back, suing this very corporation. Now certain legislators who are in the pockets of these large industrial hog corporations, I said large industrial hog corporations, not small farms, large industrial hog corporations are seeking to punish our people. Senate Bill 605 is slated to take the power from the people to speak up and out against these dirty corporations. Senate Bill 605 will stop our communities from being able to sue Smithfield and other dirty corporations that are set on dumping their waste in our neighborhoods. Senate Bill 605 will make it easier for the dirty corporations to secure general permits to run their production. Now we need all North Carolina residents, everyone under the sound of my voice, understand your power, understand your importance of your voice, and start calling your legislators. Visit their office and tell them no to Senate Bill 605. Tell them we're tired of these corporations dumping their crap in our backyard. We're tired of not being able to walk out into our front yard, our backyard, and sit down. We're tired of not being able to hang our clothes out on the clothesline. We're tired of not being able to breathe fresh air. Tell them no to Senate Bill 605. Thank you.
So we appreciate you just waiting with us. We know everyone has marched, and we thank you because this is the political power. And Black Voters Matter has been, we are a proud partner at Advanced Carolina Black Alliance, Democracy Green with Black Voters Matter. This is the policy piece, y'all. So we need you to call. We need you to sign every petition. We need you to show up and lobby with us. Even if you're not from North Carolina, we need your bodies, we need your voices, we need your power. We don't need to be empowered, we are power. So just give us what is ours and move out the way. So again, Senate Bill 605, Senate Bill 324, 724, 725, the Critical Race Theory Bill, 722. I'm running it down, y'all, so I please hope y'all writing it down because they are trying to stop our votes, our protests, and our assembly. And no one's gonna stop me from joining my people in Black Joy. Much love to y'all.
Nice, nice, great energy. I want to send a big shout out to our sister station that's out here, Foxy 107, the legendary Jody Berry. I saw Jody earlier. Hey Jody, how you doing? All right, up next I'm gonna bring a gentleman to the stage that was wrongly convicted of murder at the age of 19 in Pitt County, North Carolina. He served 26 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. Dante Sharp was finally exonerated in August of 2019 after a decades-long legal battle. Let's welcome to the stage right now and hear this story. Dante Sharp, come on up, my brother.
Hey, how y'all doing tonight? I'm kind of overwhelmed, you know. For 2 years, this time last year, I had no idea I'd be standing up here, part of a freedom ride, down with Black Voters Matter, and all these people out here from the different organizations. It's people like y'all and gatherings like this that got me out. You know, when I got that life sentence, I'm from Greenville, North Carolina, and they sentenced me to life with no parole. They tried to get me to take time served over and over for the whole 26 years. They kept offering me pleas, but I wouldn't take them. You know, I told them I'd die before I say I did something. And by the way, it was a white guy that got killed, and I was a black guy. Enough said. But anyway, you know, I just want to thank Forward Justice for setting up these speaking engagements for me. If it weren't for them, Forward Justice, I'd be left in the dark. I've been waiting on a pardon from Governor Cooper for 2 years. I don't know if he upset because Reverend William Barber, the NAACP, and everybody in my family marched and did this exact thing for all those years when I was locked up. I don't know if we hurt his feelings, pissed him off, made him mad, or whatever. I was mad. I told them one time when they sent them pleas at me, they told me they was mad because I wouldn't take a plea and because my family would fight for me. I sent a word right back. I'm mad, motherfucker. I'm mad. You done took my life from me. I'm mad. Excuse my language, excuse my French. But I'm so glad I got my life back. And I want y'all to know that black voters do matter. Because guess what we did in Pitt County? My people mobilized, Reverend Barber, Al Sharpton came down, everybody. Went in my hometown, got them to vote in a DA that would listen to us finally after all those years and got the other DA out. And you know how we did it? By voting them out. Black vote. Black vote changed the thing. Because we don't usually vote because we don't have no confidence in the system at all. You know, and in prison, a lot of innocent people I know that's still in there. Even, it's not just about us that was innocent, it's about the guilty people too. And again, let's look at this second chance. Let me speak on the second chance. Everybody got a felony. You can go to the Second Chance Alliance or through forwardjustice.org and find out how to do it, or go back here to the booth and get the information. Because, you know, a lot of us got felonies, you know. So you can go there and get information so you can know how to get yourself, your record clean, so you can vote, so you can get out and we can change this thing, man. God bless y'all and thank y'all for having me. Yeah, bro.
Okay, so we got a petition at the Second Chance Alliance table. That's right there in the middle. We got a petition. We want everybody to stop over and sign it so he can get his pardon, okay? So let's make that priority before we get out of here today. So please make that something that you do. All right, so let's keep the show moving. Had a chance to visit with this gentleman just now. Very sharp brother. I want to welcome Keith Rivers from Pasco Tank County. He's the NAACP president. He promised to keep it short and tight, so pay attention, guys.
Good evening. I want to take time to tell a little story. On April the 21st, 2021, about 7:30 in the morning, in a residential neighborhood, in a school zone, a pickup truck full loaded with about 11 to 12 sheriff's deputies pulled up on a man's house, a black man, to serve an arrest warrant and a search warrant. They found the man in his BMW, backed in his driveway, with both hands on the steering wheel. They drove in front of his vehicle so that he could not get away. They jumped out and started screaming all kinds of obscenities. He threw his vehicle in reverse, and he turned to the left to get away from him. And when he turned to the left, they had assault rifles, and they started shooting. And then they fired a fatal shot in the back of his head. Say his name. Say his name. On that day, in that little city of Elizabeth City, we took to the streets. And we have been in the streets for 64 straight days. That includes Mother's Day, Father's Day. When it's thunder and lightning, we are in the streets. But just to tell you just a little bit more, the district attorney found no reason to prosecute the deputies. He became a defense attorney for the deputies instead of a prosecuting attorney. The family has only seen 16 minutes and 20 seconds of the video that is 2 hours long. The sheriff has returned the 3 deputies back to duty, full duty, with 1 resigning and 2 at work right now. This is why we're in the streets. This is why we've been in the streets for 64 days. But let me add this little bit before I close. We got a letter today from the sheriff. Now, I told you we march every day, but we got a letter that was sent to the police chief on today from the same sheriff, who, when he brought these deputies back to work, he said, we're going to retrain them. He wrote a letter to the police chief, and it said, even though it is our constitutional right to protest in the streets, we don't have a right to block intersections. We don't have a right to keep people from gaining access to businesses. So as of Saturday morning, the sheriff's deputies will no longer assist the city police in providing protection for us while we're in the streets. And just to mention, we've had one lady that ran through the line and hurt 3 of our protesters. And people said, how long will we stay in the streets? Well, we want to send a message back to Elizabeth City. We want to send a message right here from Raleigh, North Carolina, that we are going to stay in the streets until we get accountability, until we get transparency, until we get justice for Andrew Brown. And just before I left Elizabeth City, somebody said, Keith, how long will you fight? And I said, we will fight until hell freezes over, and then we will fight on ice. Say his name. Say his name. Because black voters matter.
Mother.
Dropping them gems right there. Good music. All right, let's keep this thing moving. As we said we would, I want to welcome to the stage the Reverend Dr. Johnny Bernard Hill of Shaw University School of Divinity. Welcome, Reverend.
Thank you. Hey, how y'all doing out there today? Come on, put your hands up one more time. Put your fists up for Black Voters Matter. And if you can, please put both of your hands together for a thunderous round of applause to these organizers, to these modern freedom fighters, these beacons for justice and hope and human dignity that continue to stand in that proud, prophetic, honorable tradition of Ella Baker, Martin Luther King Jr., Fannie Lou Hamer, and many, many others who we all know so very, very well. We are sitting in the precipice of history, friends, and I bring you greetings on behalf of Shaw University, which is right down the street, home of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee that gathered on the campus of Shaw University on April the 15th, 1960, when Ella Baker called together college students and freedom fighters just like you from across the state and across the country to begin to organize, to begin to turn the tide of segregation, voter suppression, and dehumanization all across the state of North Carolina and across the country. Over this past year, friends, I think it's become very evident that we have a long way to go. This pandemic showed the deep, profound disparities in our country and in our world. From unemployment to poverty to mass incarceration to the profound disparities in education, all demonstrate the force of protest that's necessary for us to bring about any kind of meaningful change. And one of the things that I often tell my students, friends, is that now we're not just fighting for the present moment. We get too caught up in thinking that it's just about today. But the fact of the matter is that we're fighting for generations to come. We are fighting for our grandchildren and generations yet unborn. Because of our dedication and commitment, because of your sacrifice from traveling from California and from Arizona and from Atlanta, Georgia, and from mounting these buses and going on from day after day after day, collecting all of this equipment and putting it up and tearing it back down and going out without days without seeing your family, and all of the sacrifice that's required for this work is for generations yet unborn. And I'm so happy, I'm so excited and so inspired today, friends, to be a part of this moment, to be a part of this present moment, because we are living in a moment of transformation. This pandemic, I believe, has changed the world. I believe that it's showing more and more that the old ways are passing away. This notion of having a few people with a lot of money and the masses of folks without any resources whatsoever has to die. It has to go into the pits of hell. We can never again live in a world where we have these kind of deep disparities between rich and poor. We can't have the struggles of the past with patriarchy and with sexism and with LGBTQ homophobia. All of that has to pass away, and I believe that a new world is being born. A new world where people can be celebrated for their differences, not tolerated for their differences, but to be celebrated for their differences, to be embraced, and to be able to sit together, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said so many years ago, around the table of sisterhood and brotherhood, where we can celebrate our differences and walk together, children. Don't we get weary, because there is a great camp meeting in the Promised Land. Thank you for stopping through Raleigh, North Carolina, home of the freedom fighters and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and those who sat at the lunch counters and endured all kinds of struggle and dehumanization, so that we can continue to march and fight and walk and continue to struggle for today's moment. We're in it together, friends. North Carolina is behind you. North Carolina is with you. We're going to be with you to Washington, D.C. We're going to be with you as you travel to Virginia. We're going to be with you all the way to the voting booth and to continue the fight for celebrating Black Voters Matter. Give it up for yourselves. Give it up for all of those who are around here today, all of the organizers. We can do this because it's our moment, it's our time to shine. God bless you.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Reverend. Thank you. Up next, let's bring up Cliff and Latasha Speaks. Miss April.
I am a freedom fighter. I am a freedom rider. I am a freedom rider. Wait a minute. Are we freedom riders or not? I am a freedom rider. All the way in the back. I am a freedom rider. That's right. That's why we are here today. That is why we are on this ride. We are honoring those brothers and sisters who looked danger in the face and said, I am a freedom rider. And we're here today because the 15th Amendment did what? It said that no state in this country shall abridge the right to vote on the basis of race, right? Or form or servitude. And since that happened, way back in the 1800s, we are still fighting to make the 15th Amendment a reality. But I'll tell you something. This Constitution that they hold up, this Declaration of Independence that they hold up, says something very important that's often not talked about. What does it say? It says that when this country ceases to give you your life, your liberty, and your pursuit of happiness, what do? It is the right of the people to abolish it and create something new. So today, on this freedom ride in North Carolina with you, we are going to abolish Jim Crow, right? We are going to abolish white supremacy that is all up in all these institutions that we are standing in front of tonight. And we're going to create something new that is righteous, that is inclusive, that lets all of us have power. So are you a freedom rider? Yeah. Are you a freedom rider? Yeah. Let me hear you. I am a freedom rider. I am a freedom rider. That's right, because all those brothers and sisters that we have flanked on our bus, riding through these southern streets, were freedom riders, courageous freedom riders. In the spirit of all of our ancestors, we are here today to put DC on notice that we want the For the People Act. We want to make it so that everybody in this country is automatically registered. So that like in North Carolina, when they try to criminalize our people who are out in these streets trying to organize and register to vote, the law will make it automatic. That's why we want the Freedom for the People Act. Also, in North Carolina, you can vote early, right? Can you vote early in North Carolina? But do you know what? Our brothers and sisters in Alabama can't. They cannot. They have what they call on purpose, right? Come up, fire. On purpose absentee, which means that the only way that you get to vote not going to the polling location that day is if you're sick, right? Right? If you're work or there's something that doesn't allow you to vote on time. So we want all of our people to have early voting. All the millions of people in this country who have been victimized by the criminal justice system, right? And told that they can no longer vote. Guess what that act does? It allows for all of us, all of our people, to be able to vote and build power in our community. So we need that. And that is why we are on this ride. I'm going to bring up today a sister who taught me, a dynamic attorney. And I know every year y'all hear about the Jubilee, right, in Selma, Alabama, the bridge, where we actually go every year to remember what happened for our right to vote, what we're fighting for right now, where this sister Fire Rose is responsible for making that happen every year to remind us, right, that we're freedom riders. And so I'm going to turn it over to her so that she can give a little history about why it is that happened and why we still have to fight for that today.
All right, all right. In the words of Sweet Honey and the Rock, you are the ones we've been waiting for. You are the ones. There have been times when I got discouraged, but then I heard of some people called Tasha and April and Cliff, and I heard of a young woman called Tawana, and I said, our work has not been in vain. You on this freedom ride, you are the ones I've been waiting for. I had to come to these freedom rides because I needed to feel your spirit. I was determined to find that march because I had to feel your spirit. I was born 76 years ago in Salisbury, North Carolina. I graduated summa cum laude from Johnson C. Smith University. I went on to Harvard Law School, but I'm not here to brag, brothers and sisters. I'm here to tell you that I didn't know the pyramids were built by people who look more like me than Marilyn Monroe. I had that summa cum laude, but I didn't know really who I was. I had that Harvard law degree, but I really didn't know who my people were. I had to find out that my people were the first ones to read and write, to discover the laws of mathematics, to discover astronomy. Harvard didn't teach me that. Johnson C. Smith didn't teach me that. What you know can make you grow. So I'm here to give you just a little bit of history. You see, before there was a George Floyd, there was an Emmett Till, and there was a Jimmy Lee Jackson. And I just want to tell you a little about Jimmy Lee Jackson. You see, Jimmy Lee Jackson lived in a little place next to Selma called Marion, Alabama. And he had gone overseas to fight for democracy over yonder. But when he came back to Alabama, he couldn't vote, and his granddaddy Cagey couldn't vote. Nobody could vote. Over in Lowndes County, where the Black Panther Party was founded, there was not a single black registered voter. So there were some young people in Selma who followed the leadership of some older people like Marie Faustin and Miss Boynton and a man by the name of C.J. Adams that nobody knows about. They were fighting when it was dangerous to fight, when you could be lynched for just saying the word vote. But down there in Marion, Alabama, and I'm going to make this short because they didn't give me a time limit, so make it short. Don't tell me that. Okay. Down in Marion, Alabama, a man by the name of Big Orange, a young man in Birmingham. When the freedom movement came to Birmingham, he was a big-time football player. But when the spirit of freedom entered his being, he had to go to Marion, Alabama. And he was in Marion, Alabama, protesting at City Hall when I'm not going to be nice, I'm not going to call them crackers, that's not nice. When the white supremacists decided they were going to kill him. So first they took him and put him in jail. Then they said, we're going to let him out at 12 o'clock and the Klan's going to be there to lynch him. But see, the people in Marion, including Albert Turner, and people you'll never read about in the history book, say, not on our watch. So they had a night march, which was very dangerous, very dangerous. But when they began to march, C.T. Vivian, he's on that bus. They wanted to kill C.T., but they got him out of town. But they began to beat everybody in sight, even the white reporters from the north. They crushed their cameras and beat them down to the ground, and people began to run for safety. So Jimmy Lee Jackson and his family ran into this little restaurant, but the cops came in and they shot Jimmy Lee because he was trying to protect his mother and his grandfather. And it wasn't just enough to shoot him. They began to beat him. While the blood flowed from him, they would continue to beat him. So you see, it wasn't just a George Floyd. There was a Jimmy Lee Jackson and so many others before there was a George Floyd. And after they beat him, he died right there in Selma, Alabama, because there was no room in the hospitals in Perry County because black folk, their lives didn't matter. He died right there in Selma on February the 18th, 1965. And there was a woman by the name of Lucy Foster, and there was another man by Bevel. They said, we need to take his dead body and put it at the foot of George Wallace. You see, this is the same George Wallace. When those 4 babies were killed in that church, that was the same George Wallace that held it up as an act of victory. But these people in Marion and Selma said, no, we're going to march. They decided not to take his body, but just to march. So they gathered on a day that became known as Bloody Sunday. And I want you to repeat this date. March 7th, 1965. March 7th, 1965. 600 people, a lot of young people. I don't have time to tell that story, but that movie didn't tell the story of the young people. Most of the people on that bridge were young people. Not just John Lewis, but Jose Williams and a lot of the young people. And they left that church in twos marching, not in the street, but on the sidewalks. And as they got to the apex of the Edmund Pettus Bridge, a bridge to name the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan. That's who Edmund Pettus is, y'all. And when they got to the apex of that bridge, they began to descend that bridge. They were met by an army of terrorists. They were domestic terrorists, y'all. That's who they were. They were dressed in blue. They were state troopers, but they were domestic terrorists. And they beat the hell of our people, beat the hell out of our people. But they didn't give up. Dr. King was not on that march. Dr. King came for the second march. And on the second march, they killed another man. They killed a young white man from Boston, a young white man in the height of his life who heeded the call of Dr. King when he said, I need some help in Selma, Alabama. And before it was over, they had killed 4 people, including Viola Lewis, a young white woman who left her family in Detroit to join the movement, a young white minister by the name of Reverend Reed, who was killed trying to protect a black woman in Lowndes County. This is the blood that was shed so that we could have this precious right to vote. So I wanted to just tell you a little of the story because there's so much more to know. And I want you to remember this. We were not free on the July 4th. When the Declaration of Independence was written, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. Don't you think that Trump told the biggest lie? That was the biggest lie that was ever told. Because when that was written in the Declaration of Independence, not a single woman of any race could vote. Wait a minute, not even a white man, if he didn't have wealth and land, could not vote. This has been a 400 journey to protect this right to vote. It was not until the 15th Amendment that black men got the right to vote. White women and black women, no, white women got the right to vote, and with the 19th Amendment, but black women did not get the right to vote until Jimmy Lee Jackson shed his blood. So when you march today, remember the blood of Jimmy Lee Jackson. Remember the blood of those civil rights people in Mississippi, Cheney and Goodwin, who lost their lives. When we march today, You ain't got to worry about being bummed. You ain't got to worry about being hung. But those people that you see on that bus, they literally risked their lives. And when Jimmy Lee Jackson lay dying in Selma, you know what he said to his granddaddy? And I want y'all to remember this because I remember it every time I want to give up. I remember what Jimmy Lee Jackson said to his grandfather. He said, "Granddaddy, is it worth it? Is it really worth it? My giving my life for the right to vote?" And I don't think he said these words, but I think he could probably see somewhere in the future, and he was wondering where there would be a group of freedom riders who were willing to ride to get that right to vote, to keep that right to vote. I got a feeling that Jimmy Lee Jackson would feel much better if he knew that you were here, still fighting, and that he did not die in vain. Let me hear you say, Jimmy Lee Jackson did not die in vain. Jimmy Lee Jackson did not die in vain. I'm riding for you, Jimmy. I'm riding for you, Jimmy. I'm riding for you, Emmett. I'm riding for all of our heroes. I want to end with a little chant. Y'all know me. I got to have a little chant, right? Y'all know. Come on, April. Come over. But I hope I didn't forget it. I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning. These two sisters, they know we can't do nothing without the music. And this little chant is, and I want you to help me out, okay? I am a freedom rider. I am a freedom fighter. I know my mission. I see my vision. And I'm going to fight for voting rights. And I'm going to fight for human rights. And it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. So this goes like that. I got a little beat in the background, okay? And I'm giving this chance to your organization, if you like it. Okay. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You got ahead of me. Let me start. I'm a freedom rider. I'm a freedom fighter. I'm a freedom rider. I'm a freedom fighter. I'm a freedom rider. I'm a free. Can't hear you. I'm a freedom fighter. I'm a freedom. And I know my mission. And I see my vision. Come on, y'all. And I know my mission. And I see my vision. And I'm gonna fight for civil rights. Come on, y'all. And I'm gonna fight for voting rights. And I'm gonna fight for voting rights. Hey, and I'm gonna fight for human. And it's all right. Hey, 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 cause I'm gonna fight for voting rights. Can't hear you. I'm gonna fight. Hey, for vote. Can't hear you. I'm gonna fight for voting human rights. And I'm gonna fight for human. And it's all right. What? It's all right. It's to fight for voting rights. To fight for voting rights.
That's the energy we need right there. That is make some noise, y'all. Make some noise if you're feeling good right now. Understand that we got some food still back there. Make sure you stop back there. I think we got like 1,000 pieces of chicken, biscuits. AJ and them running hard back there. Get your food, but come on back up, all right? We got a few more things going on the stage. So let's keep it moving. I'm going to welcome up Cliff and Latasha Speaks. Come on up, guys.
What's going on, North Carolina? What y'all think about Sister Fire Rose Teray? That's right. She fire, right? That's our mentor. That's our mentor, y'all. We so glad to be here. In fact, before I even get started, we're gonna say just what she said. We're gonna start out saying his name. Say Jimmy Lee Jackson. Say Jimmy Lee Jackson. Now we're gonna say Andrew Brown. Andrew Brown. Say his name, Andrew Brown. How many folks out here from Elizabeth City? Let me hear you make some noise. All right. Our folks in Elizabeth City been putting it down now, Brother Rivers said, for 64 days straight, y'all. For 64 days straight, they have been in those streets demanding justice for our brother Andrew Brown. Demanding justice for just another name. The list of names, y'all, is really too long. We can't even keep track of all the names. You know, we started off with Trayvon. Well, no, we started off much longer than that, right? With Emmett Till, and all the other names, and those that have not been named. But you know, there was Trayvon, and there was Michael Brown, and then you know, so many other names. Sandra Bland, and the list is too long, y'all. And at some point, we got to ask the question: how long? How long are we going to be in this situation where our lives are treated like they simply don't matter? How long are we going to tolerate a situation where they can come into our neighborhood with a fully armed military battalion, allegedly to arrest somebody, but really it's an execution? How long are we going to be in a situation where sheriffs and DAs do not seek justice in our names because they believe that our lives don't matter? How long before we stand up and demand our full rights, not just voting rights and not just civil rights, but our full human rights in this society? How long, y'all? But what we got to understand is that what happens in places like Elizabeth City, especially those parts of the state, you know, eastern North Carolina, you know, the rural areas in North Carolina, what happens there a lot of times doesn't get attention. They don't get a lot of media attention, right? They don't make the big news stories. In fact, not just the killings, but the everyday voter suppression that takes place. Because at the end of the day, we like to talk about issues. We talk about police violence. We talk about gentrification. We talk about environmental justice. We talk about the miseducation of our children. Even as you got fools walking around talking about they want to criticize critical race theory and keep critical race theory out of the schools, ain't nobody teaching critical race theory in no K through 12 school. What they really saying is that they don't want your history in those schools. That's what they're really saying. Because what they know is that when we know our history, like that history that Sister Fire Rose is just saying, when we know that history, then we'll stand up. When we know the history of everything that we've overcome since we've been in this country, when we know the history of Nat Turner and Harriet Tubman, when we know the history, y'all heard him say her name earlier, of Ella Baker and all the others, when we know that history, then we'll stand up and fight. When we know the history, the real history of that 1965 Voting Rights Act and the movement that created that history, when we know that history of the Freedom Riders, y'all get a good look at those buses. We ain't just get those pretty black buses because they pretty. We put those pictures on those buses because we wanted you to see the faces of those people who, when buses got burned and people got beat up, instead of running away from the danger, they came and said, I'll go there. They ran to the danger because they know the history and they knew what we can do. And they knew that that's what movement is about, that when they squash our folks in Birmingham, that it's not just Birmingham, it's not just an attack on that city, it's an attack on all of us. An attack on our brother in Elizabeth City isn't just an attack on Elizabeth City, it's an attack on all of us. And the only way to defeat that is if all of us stand up. If we know that divide and conquer is one of the oldest tricks in the book that oppresses us, then the only way for us to get our liberation is if we come together and work together. When we say, you know what, even though it happened over there in Elizabeth City, it's not just their issue, it's our issue too. Even though something happens up in Minnesota, that's not just their issue, it's our issue too. Even though they pass voter suppression in Georgia or Florida or wherever else it is in this country that they're doing it, that's not just their issue, it's all of our issues. And the only way we can defeat it is if we all come together. If we all answer the call, just like those Freedom Riders do, if we all answer the call and say, you know what, North Carolina got some early voting, but there's a lot of other brothers and sisters in this country that ain't got no early voting. So I'm going to stand up. If we all come together, they can't stop us. That is what our history shows us. That when we work together, there ain't no voter suppression that they can do. Y'all, we live in the state of Georgia. Let me tell you this story real quick. Because in 2018, y'all may have heard the story. In 2018, there was a sister running. Y'all may know Sister Stacey Abrams, right? Y'all heard her name? This sister ran for governor, and they stole an election from her. They stole it right in front of all of our faces. And after they stole, even though we mobilized, and not just us, we got our friends from New Georgia Project that were here earlier in them pretty purple shirts. But not just us, a lot of organizations, and Georgia Stand Up is out here, a lot of organizations in Georgia came together and organized and mobilized voters, historic turnout, but we saw an election stolen from us. And people said, after 2018, witnessing that, they said, what are you going to do? How are you going to overcome? How are you going to get black folks to believe? Let me say that again. How are you going to get black folks to believe and come out again in a future election? And what we said is, we said, watch us work. And so in 2020, what did we do? Not just 2020, because we built in 2019 and we built in 2020. And so out of the ashes of a stolen election, out of the pain and the trauma of a stolen election, black folks in the midst of a pandemic, in the middle of the winter, in the middle of the holiday season, black folks in Georgia came out and showed out and made history and shocked the world. That's what we're going to do after you steal election from us. And so what we go and say is that when we work together, there ain't no voter suppression in the world that can defeat us. When we work together, we win, period, end of story. And that's what we are calling on now. We are calling for all of us to work together on this freedom ride. That's why we're going from state to state. That's why we've been through 5 states already. This is number 6. We're going tomorrow. We're going to be in West Virginia. Then we're going to be in Virginia. And we're going to take it. You know why we're going to West Virginia, right? You know there's somebody there we got to talk to. Y'all know that, right? And so we got a message from him. We're going to tell Joe Manchin in his home state. We're going to tell him what? The South got what? The South got something to say. So we going to West Virginia, and then we're going to go to Virginia, and then we're going to take it to D.C. on the 26th. And we don't want to be there by ourselves. We already got about, I don't know what we got now. We got about 20 buses or something like that coming. But we got 23, but we need some more folk from North Carolina. We need some more folk from North Carolina to answer the call. We need some more folk from North Carolina to help us deliver this message all the way to D.C. that we are going to get our voting rights by any means necessary. So all I need you to do is ask yourself, will you answer the call? Will you answer the call? Will you join us there? Will you fight for our voting rights? And when I say voting rights, we're talking about H.R. 1, we're talking about the For the People Act. We're talking about the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. And we're talking about H.R. 51, the D.C. Statehood Act. My friend over there, Marcus Batchelor, who's from D.C., and they've been fighting the fight to get voting rights for over 700,000 residents of D.C. who are mainly black. And so I say it once again, what happens in D.C., the voter suppression that happens in D.C. ain't just about D.C., it's about all of us. When they disrespect our brothers and sisters in D.C., they're disrespecting all of us. So it's going to take all of us to come together to get our voting rights and to get our civil rights and to get our human rights. That's what our history tells us. So you got to decide if you're going to answer the call. Everybody got to decide for themselves. But I'm going to tell you this, as for me and my house, I'm going to be on that bus. I'm going to be on that big old black bus. You got to decide where you're going to be, but I'm going to be on that bus. We're going to be on that bus. Because there may come a day, y'all, in North Carolina, home of the lunch counter sit-ins, home of Ella Baker, home of all the work of Shore University in North Carolina, there may come a day where y'all turn your back on that history. But I'm here to tell you, today
is not that day. There may come a time, North Carolina, I need somebody from North Carolina to hear me. There may be a day, North Carolina, when y'all decide to turn your back on Andrew Brown because his death didn't mean anything. There may come a day where we don't treat his death the same way we treated Jimmy Lee Jackson's death. Not as something that we just mourn over, but something that we organize around. There may be a day where we fail to see it that way. But today is not that day. There may be a day where we allow these people to take us back to slavery, back to a period where we had no voting rights, back to a period where we were just chattel and property. There may come a day where that happens, but I'm here to tell you, today is not that day, North Carolina. So if you believe that we got that power, then I need you to say real loud, say, I am a freedom rider. In the back, I need you to say, I am a freedom rider. I need you to say it so that all the folks that work in this state house that are trying to take your rights away can hear you. I need you to say, I am a freedom rider. We love you, North Carolina. We will win. Can't stop, won't stop.
Today is not that day, is it? My brother done laid it down. Today is not that day. Amen. Well, the first thing I did right was the day I started to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize and hold on, hold on. Amen. Let me tell you something. There's something about a spirit of the movement. There's something that we always have. We got the issue. We clear about what we fight for, right? We clear we got to fight, right? Do you know that we literally can transform our communities, our nation, just as Cliff said, if we're standing in the power of our being, y'all. That if we really recognize it's our spirit, we ain't asking nobody permission to have our freedom, are we? We're going to stand in the space of our truth. We're going to stand in our power, and we ain't going back. We're going forward. And so it's important for all of us that are part of, I always do this, because I think it's really important for us to focus on a vision. So I want all of you, I'm going to be real quick and then we can leave. But I want all of you, wherever you are, I want you to close your eyes. And I need you to hear this question with your heart. I don't need you to analyze it. Just listen to the question. What would this nation look without racism? What would North Carolina look like without racism? What would the education look like? What would the political system look like? What would healthcare look like? What would a workday look like? What would our housing look like? What would this world look without racism? I'm saying this because listen, y'all. We're not asking somebody, can we be a part of their vision when we already know that they're limited in their vision. They're limited in their vision because they couldn't even see, Cliff and I, they couldn't even see the humanity of our folks, could they? No. You, brothers and sisters, got to start thinking of yourselves as founders of a new nation, of founders of a new America. You got to have that vision. All right, whatever it is you saw that racism does not exist, you got to see that and fight for that. Let me tell you why. There's nothing that has been brought into being that was not first envisioned. Find me one thing. You got to see it. So you know what you focused on, right? We got to stop thinking that other folks, we going to beg you to be a part of a system that's doing exactly, it ain't broken. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do, right? But I am a visionary. Are you a visionary? Y'all tell me what you see. What are some of the things you see? What you see? Shout it out. Education, quality education. What? Wealth. What else you see? Affordable housing, peace. What else you see? Love, clean air. What else you see? Water. No more food deserts. What else do you see? Redistricting. What else you see? I'm raising this, y'all, because we're going to talk about in a moment what we got to do now. But you all need to recognize that we're going to create. You are the visionaries of a new world. we're going to create the kind of environment, I believe that the wealthiest country in the world can have a health care system that everybody got health care. Why would we not want everybody to have health care? I believe that in the wealthiest nation of the world, by the way, they got their wealth because we have built this country for free for centuries. Not only do they owe us reparations, right, but our community, I need to hear reparations. Reparations. They owe us reparations, right? At the end of the day, not only that, y'all, we literally can rethink and redesign every single system that is in this country. But you got to believe, as Brother Cliff said, you got to believe. Do you believe? Do you believe? And you got to bring your spirit to bear. And what I am talking about there, you will never see a Black Voters Matters bus that doesn't have 2 words on it. One word, somebody tell me one of the words. You gonna see power, because we believe in some power. But you also are gonna see what else? You're gonna see love. Y'all, we are the ones that are gonna change the world. Right? It is us, not only America. We're gonna drag her screaming and hollering and all that they're doing. But let me tell you, we're seeing the voter suppression right now, not because we're losing. It's because we are winning. It is more of us that believe in this vision than those that do not. They're like a dying breed of dinosaurs. That time is coming in Custer's last stand. He grasping for air, but we're going to go on and dig a fresh grave for him, because we about to bury him forever, right, and put the distance in it, right, because it is our time, brothers and sisters. I need y'all to hear me. I'm not even trying to yell and entertain. I need y'all to hear me. It is your time. We are being called in this moment, at this time, right? Because we got some work to do, y'all. That we're going to create a world, that every single human being feels respected and valued and honored. What's so wrong with that? We can do it, y'all. But in order for us to do that, we got to believe. We got to believe. I just want you to take a moment. I just want us to be quiet. Just take a moment. And I want you to say just quietly, I believe. And then I want you to dig down real, real deep. And I want you to say it. That vision that we're talking about, y'all, is possible. It is possible. It is possible for us to create an education system that is not about exploiting or filling our children with lies around the history, but literally we have the opportunity, right, to really create something, right, create a system that honors and respects all human life. So I want you to say from your heart, I believe. I want you to put your hand on your belly. I want it to come from your gut. No, we're not playing, y'all. This ain't a game, right? This ain't even just about the rally. This is what we got to do. We got to ignite our spirits. And you need to say it. I believe. I believe. I believe that we will win. I believe. I believe. I believe that we will win. I believe. I believe. I believe that we will win. Amen, brothers and sisters. We shall win. We who believe in freedom shall not rest until it comes. Amen. Love y'all. What you say? Oh, I don't know if they're here. No, I know.